Every week on the podcast, Acting Like an Actor, we interview working actors about how they broke into the business, the day-to-day realities of it, and how they managed to stay sane in this crazy business. You'll get a ton of advice and inspiration on how they act like they have their ish together. Because we're all just acting like we know what we're doing. We're all just acting like actors. So let's do it together. This week we have actress Jean Evans. Jean is known for her roles on shows such as Mr. Williams' Madam is Dying, and films such as The Truth Hurts, Did You Mean It, and Superpowers Aren't A Thing. We talk about her journey from having a ton of jobs to being able to act full-time, things she changed to get serious about acting, and how she stays positive in a difficult industry. If you feel stagnant in your acting career, this episode is for you. If you want acting to become more of a full-time thing for you, this episode is for you. If you're a Mr. Williams' Madam is Dying fan, this episode is for you.
Are you rich?
Are you famous?
What have you been on?
I don't really recognize you, and neither does my mom.
Can you laugh?
Can you cry on command?
I mean, you said you were an actor, man.
What's your backup plan? Is it shattered?
Dude, I'm just acting like an actor.
Because I know right now, Jean, I know 1,000% a lot of people watching this right now like Ms. Williams. I can just tell. The minute you told me the show and I looked it up on TikTok, I was like, okay, that show just took over.
That was Flex TV's first vertical series. And so they put in marketing. Like they wanted it to perform well. So none of my other series have so far like performed that well because I did another one for Flex and then I did another one for Alta TV and like a few different smaller ones, but that one was Flex TV's first. And so they were like, it was the first English speaking. So they were like, we are putting in the money to do this. So if for some reason it popped off like crazy, and I filmed that one last October. Okay. And I was not expecting it to do anything. Okay. Yeah. I was just trying to pay rent. I booked this job and they told me the day rate, and it was like the most I had made for a day rate for the amount of time that I was filming it. It was like 16 days of filming, 18 days of filming. Oh so my
gosh, that's kind of long for the verticals.
Very long for the verticals because it was the first time that the production company that I was working with had done one of the verticals. It was Flex TV's first one, so everybody was kind of trying to figure it out. Yeah. It was 180 pages of script.
That's why you needed 18 days.
Wow. 180 pages.
Usually they're 90, I feel like, from the ones I see. And it's like 9 or 10 day shoots. Wow.
Yeah, and every single day was over 12 hours.
Okay.
It was massive.
And you were the lead too, so I bet the dialogue was crazy. Just like memorizing it and all the stuff you had.
What I've learned with these is we call them boot camp because while, they may not, make or break you, they may not make you famous, they may not do whatever, be a huge career step, anything like that, you learn how to memorize, you learn how to be on the go, you learn like guerrilla, like being on set. It is a massive undertaking because you're filming so much material in such a short amount of time. I woke up day of, I would look at the call sheet, look at the 15 pages we were doing and memorize it right there in the morning while I was getting my makeup done. Yeah. That's it.
It's like series regular preparation, essentially. Yeah. Because damn well those people that are the regulars on those shows, you can't memorize it all in advance. You have to take it day by day. So,
especially with soaps, there's so much material. And now I find that I have a really, really great skill set whenever it comes to last minute auditions or if I get called in. I got called in for a producer session one time I got the information the night before and I had to be there at 11 a.m. the next day.
For like a network show.
Yeah, on the studio lot with all the producers, like in front of them doing this like multiple scenes. Yeah. And I memorized it all. I did all my prep work like that. Like I showed up and I did my work, felt really good about it. The feedback that I got from the casting director was she took it like a champ. I know she got the information yesterday. You would have no idea. Yeah. Because you learn how to just kind of build yourself up in a way that like you can receive the information, 10 minutes later you know it. Yeah, 10 minutes later you can deliver and be believable.
Yeah, no, I love that. It almost gave you the confidence to know that if you can do one of those, if you can do 18 days on one of those, you can do anything.
Especially if you're rusty, it's a great place to just hop in and like get the gears turning.
Yeah.
No, the gears are turning in those. It's so fun. I recommend them to everybody.
They're also like very emotional and dramatic too, so it works your chops. Some of them can be cringy and over the top, but I did want to commend you, Gina. I was watching your clips. I really loved it. I thought you did a beautiful job with like keeping it grounded and still making it like beautiful and nice.
Thank you. What I find is at the end of the day, it's my face. You know, it's my reputation, and whether I have material that I love and I'm obsessed with and I really connect to, or material that I don't necessarily love, you know, at the end of the day, I have to do what I can to present myself as the artist that I want to be and the person that I want to be, and I can't go into something like that and just, you know, half do it because I know I'm getting paid anyways and blah, blah, blah. Like, and that's what wound up getting me an audience afterwards, is because I did put in the effort.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they resonated with that. Most of the comments that I get are like, I watch a lot of these and you're the first like actor I've seen that like, wow, you made me feel something. And I'm like,
yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It was very hard.
Yeah, no, right. I know that is a challenge, but you're right. That is like the truth as an actor, especially as you're kind of an up-and-coming actor, is the writing we get isn't always great, so you have to do what you can with the material.
Yeah.
And I thought you did such a lovely job.
Thank you. Have you done any of the verticals?
I've done 10 of the verticals, but I've only been a lead in 3, and usually I'm the mean girl lead. I've only been the nice girl lead.
I get to be the mean girl lead next
Okay.
week. A little bit of
Okay.
tea.
Have you been
I'm
the mean
sharing.
girl lead yet?
No!
Which is interesting because I've seen the stereotype broken this year, but last year I swear I had this theory in my head. I was like, a blonde doesn't book a lead in these.
Really?
Yeah, because I'd usually seen brunettes, but now I see a lot more blondes and redheads.
I've been the lead in the 3 that I've done, and like love her, but she's usually written the same way.
Yeah.
And I think
broken girl, some thugs like drug her. There's like these themes in the writing.
She gets
'cause they know what
rescued.
works. Yeah. This man rescues her.
Yes.
They really need like I would love for them to switch it. Like, can we have a broken down man and like a female that saves him at some point? They won't, but it would be cool. Maybe one day. We'll see.
you know, I'm starting to see a few that are kind of bending the genre and bending. Like, there's one coming out that is sapphic. There's one coming out that's like time travel. There's one like
Cool.
yeah.
I've seen the mafia ones. There's
a
like
lot
a
of mafia.
because for a while it was vampires, billionaires,
Werewolves.
and like that was it. And now I'm seeing more like mafia and their writings getting better and things like that. But
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had this too. I've had friends try to pitch them creative scripts, because there's so many of these apps now.
Yeah. I'm writing one.
Okay, love.
Yeah, you can get, because the producer for Mr. Williams was like, he's working with Flex TV, and we were kind of chatting about maybe doing another series, and I was like,
Flex or different app?
for Flex, or possibly he might like workshop and sell it elsewhere, but we're kind of like going through and writing the script together because we talked a lot about the writing in it and how, you know, how we would approach it, and then we were like, why don't we just do it? So we're kind of doing that. I'm getting involved in like expanding my roles in these verticals by like trying to do maybe the mean girl, doing a bit more supporting. I don't know that I'll go back and I'll do another lead. I feel like my career is kind of taking me elsewhere at the moment, but it was really, really great to have that to you know, get me on my feet for a couple months and like keep the gears turning, do that boot camp. But also it was really, really pivotal in helping me become a full-time actor, because they do pay decently well and it's non-union work. And they're I don't want to say they're easy to book, but they're everywhere. Like you can hop on in a lot of different projects. So, you know, if you're an actor out there who's like looking to get your foot in somewhere, like it's really a great breeding ground for to be able to become a full-time actor.
Yes, no, I totally agree. And I think to your point as well, like even if you're not a lead, there's so many supporting like day player characters on these things right now, and like you said, so many apps coming out, all of the things, and I only see them getting bigger because network television's kind of dying. Like ABC didn't do a pilot this year, CBS didn't do a pilot this year, the CW only does reality TV now. Like all of these networks and mainstream TV is dying, and these verticals are getting bigger. It literally makes me think in my head, because they do kind of have like a CW Riverdale-esque vibe to them, that I'm like, I literally wonder if mainstream television is like moving this route.
Yeah. Well, it's getting a lot of media traction as well. I was in a Forbes article.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like
Has it come out yet?
Yeah, my
Okay,
face
we'll put it
and
in the show
my
notes.
but like my face, like a couple screenshots from like the one that I did, they were talking about the success of the Flex TV one, and then like I was working on my second one at the time, and they were like posting pictures from that, and they were like talking about these projects and kind of where the industry's going. And then I forget which of the platforms it was. I think it was Reelshort. They were having a conference, and they were like showing pictures of people saying like these are like marketable performers, and maybe if we like gear towards these performers, it's billions and billions of dollar industry in like overseas, and it's kind of breaking in over here, which is wild to be at the forefront of.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. I might try my hand at directing one. I'm trying to write one, you know, see where I kind of fit in this, if it works for me, if it works for my career. But so far, they've been just a lot of fun.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree. At the very least, you meet cool people. You're doing a creative project, making some money, learning.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're only getting bigger. There's so much money in them. I wonder if they'll stay the same right now, where it's like you pay per episode, or as their audience grows, if they'll stop doing that, because I think it's working right now and it's making them a lot of money. But I don't know that people are going to want to. I even saw people on your TikTok like, hey, can somebody screen record the Mrs. Williams episode because I'm not paying for it.
It's like $80 to watch the whole series.
Which is why they're making so much money.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird the progression that you get financially as an actor, because I booked a few jobs last year that like and I'll be super transparent about it too, where I had like one shoot that was a day and a half maybe, or like 2 half days for a short film, and I got paid $1,000, right? And then I had another short film that was like 4 days, super involved, lots of dialogue, blah blah blah, and I got paid like $100 a day.
It's crazy.
And that's how it fluctuates, especially whenever you're non-union, you're doing these smaller gigs to kind of survive, to kind of work your way through. It's like you have the highest of highs. One day you book this job where it's day rate, I'm making this, like this is insane, I'm never going to make anything less than this. And then you have to do a photo shoot for $70 and a free sparkling water because like you need to pay rent.
So that's the thing too, is I think some actors, because that is the reality of it, like you were saying, Jean, and we kind of have to ebb and flow. I think what some actors, and I see with models too, is like we book one really big shoot, we're getting paid thousands of dollars, and then I see my friends be turning down work left and right for these couple $100 shoots. And then they're asking me like, Sophie, how do you work all the time? How do you work all the time? And I'm like, guys, I'm doing the smaller shoots. Like I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm still I've made $5,000 on a commercial set. I've also made $100 for like a 12-hour day on a commercial set. Like it fluctuates, and I do obviously have standards, and I think about my time and my energy and things like that, but I see the realities of this career, and when you're at kind of this level that we're at, you can't get too picky, and you can't get your head up in the clouds. Know your worth, yes, but like that's the reality when you're non-union, is that it ebbs and flows. I
like the mention of standards, and thinking about I moved here 4 years ago. Thinking about my standards 4 years ago for accepting a shoot versus my standards now for accepting a shoot is you know, I will probably still do a few shoots that like will pay about the same that they did 4 years ago, but now I'm doing like I did a student film a couple weeks ago that didn't pay, but I liked the script.
Yes.
I liked the script. It was comedy, and I needed more comedy for my reel. I liked the director. We had like a really great chat, and I was like, yes, this is a project that I want to do. And even though I could use the money, like I'm not, you know, doing this for the money. I'm doing this for the experience and to get it. But I would definitely now turn down gigs that paid if I didn't super connect with them. I have, you know, certain level that I'm at. Whenever I first moved here, girl, anything. Yeah. Please don't pay me $20 for 12 hours. I don't care. Like I need to be on set. I need to be there. I need to be working. I need to get my reel. I need to meet people. Like
and we need that season. What I see too is, again, sometimes people like move here and they don't want to go through that roughing it phase. And I'm like, and again, I have people like asking me and probably saying to you, like, how are you a working actor? How are you a working actor? Like they see kind of where we're at now doing these things, and it's like, okay, but you didn't see the like unpaid gigs, the hard work, the taking the random little
And
things.
hopefully
Like,
you never
almost
will
have
see
to-
that.
Right, I know. But also I think like you learn a lot in that season
Yes.
too. Like I do look back on some of the stuff I did and I'm like, bloody hell, I cannot believe that like they did that and this happened. But I also think that I learned a lot through that
Yeah.
period, and you do learn a lot through those.
Yeah.
Saying those yeses, which actually, Jean, can you kind of give us a little bit of your backstory on like how you first moved here and like that whole thing?
Yeah, let's go back to the beginning.
I know. We'll go back to the beginning. Now you guys know where she's at, you know.
I do get asked a lot, like, oh, like when did you decide to become an actor? Like, how did you get into acting? And I don't feel like I ever like made the conscious decision to get into it. If that decision was ever made, it was probably within the last year that I took it seriously. But I've always been a performer, and I grew up with a lot of like cousins who were also performers, and my grandparents are from California. They were actors, and then they moved to Missouri. I'm from Missouri. And so I've always kind of been around this like air of performance. It was mostly theater, but still I knew that there was something very like magical about it, and there was something very special about it, and that I wanted to do. If it wasn't theater, it was production, or it was just something around this world was just so intriguing to me around storytelling. So I did musicals and plays in high school, and I did speech and debate and things like that. And I went to a school with 100 kids in it.
For high school?
High school.
Oh, wow. Was it private?
100. No.
Oh. Right.
No, I'm from Crystal City, Missouri. Has 12,000 people in it. So I was like the theater kid.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
was
I
it.
bet. Yeah.
Of course, it was one of those things where like everybody in school was like involved in the musical, and everybody, you know.
Yeah.
But I was like the theater kid.
You sing as well, correct?
I do. Yeah.
So were you doing musical theater at the
I was.
time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was musicals, and then I was doing speech, which was wonderful because that was like monologues and scenes and like actual like that's really where I started to learn a love for acting. Also, I'm very, very competitive, and so like being judged on it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this well, and I'm gonna win at this. So it was really great to hear some wonderful feedback, especially whenever I'm so impressionable, that it gave me the courage to, you know, want to study it in college. And I was going to go to college and, you know, do like theater major, business minor. And my parents are so supportive, which is something that I really love about them. They don't get it. They own a travel agency. I love them so much. They don't really understand why I'm like an actor.
Nobody in the Midwest does. I know. Our poor parents. I feel like too, yeah.
But they've always supported me.
That's good.
And so I decided to like major in theater, and I minored in business, and I honestly didn't even finish because it was COVID, and like a lot was happening in my personal life. So I was like, I'm just going to drop out of school and I'm going to move to LA, and we're going to see what happens.
When did you graduate high school? What year?
2016.
2016. Okay.
Yeah, so it would have been my senior year of college.
Yeah.
And again, telling my parents that I was, you know, dropping out of college and moving to LA to, not even to act, but just to not be in Missouri and to do something bigger. And they were like, as long as you can support yourself, you know, go be free. And that was a really, really wonderful blessing to have. And so I got here, and because it was COVID, I couldn't do any theater. And so I was like, why don't I try this screen acting thing? I'd only ever been on screen once in college, and it wasn't very good. That's one of those projects that you theoretically could find on YouTube, but you shouldn't.
When you're on a talk show one day, you know they're going to pull that out. We won't do it today, but one day somebody will. Yeah.
And you know what? My first 15 projects were like that too, because I was a theater actor.
Yeah.
I was traditionally theater, and you put me in front of a camera, and I'd always been around cameras. Like I was a photographer, I was a wedding photographer, and so I really, really knew how to be around cameras, and I really, really knew how to perform. But like marrying the two took a long time to learn. And like navigating the logistics of switching from theater to screen took me a very long time. And I would say it was definitely within probably top of 2023 that I was like, okay, I've got a really good grasp on this, and I think that this is, you know, what I want to do. I really like this. And then, you know, you kind of, as you get older, you start to realize more and more how important it is to take it seriously. And I had so much fun in LA my first 2 years, but then I started hitting the part where like it wasn't fun anymore. And unless I wanted to go home, I had to figure out, you know, what I was doing here. Why am I here? I could be anywhere in the world. What am I doing here? And that thing for me was the industry, and I admitted to myself that it was the industry. It's something that you always kind of try and hide from yourself because it's a pipe dream. But I've always been somebody who's like, who knows that they are destined for something, and I just really, really felt called to this and called to be here. And so I stayed and I dug my heels in and I screamed it out loud and I said, I'm an actor. I'm an actor. I am, and I'm doing it. And the moment that I was able to admit it to myself and admit it to the world was really when everything started to take a turn for me, and I was booking. And I had a manager, and I had a manager for a couple years, but whenever I kind of took that turn in myself, I reached out to him and I said, I'm sorry, I've been like not taking things seriously the last couple years. Like, I'm ready now.
Were you auditioning and stuff in that time?
I was, but I was like, I would get an audition in. Sometimes I wouldn't even do it.
Okay.
Sometimes I would be like, oh yeah, cool. I had this affliction that was, as soon as I moved here, I was like, I did it. I'm the small town girl. I moved to the big city. Give it to me. And I just sat there and I waited. I waited for LA to give it to me, and it did not give it to me.
Yeah.
It did not give it to me. And I was like working at Cold Stone, like, it's going to happen one day. I wasn't even doing my auditions. I was like just waiting for somebody to take my hand and put me in a Netflix show. That's not how it works. That's not.
Especially not these days. I know.
No.
I feel like you hear those stories maybe like 20 years ago, but.
Yeah. So it was definitely a lot of learning myself, learning what I wanted. I'm glad that I took a while to kind of just have fun and figure it out, because now I know that I really want it. Yes. I know that I'm here because I really want it. And now I've got this big, wonderful team that's helping me out. I've booked some really, really incredible projects this year that I'm so excited for. But it all kind of stemmed from me looking at myself in the mirror saying, why are you here? Like, what now for you? And that was pivotal.
Yeah.
That was so pivotal.
No, I love that. That's a good point. I just think for anybody in their 20s or anybody anywhere at life in general, no matter what you do, is just like every once in a while we need to step back and ask ourselves, like, why are you here? Why are you doing what you're doing? No matter where you are in life, just taking that moment to self-reflect, because it's so easy to just go through the motions and live your life, and especially in LA, get caught up in the fun things and everything like that. But yeah, you have to come to that moment where you're like, what am I doing? Like, am I fulfilled inside? What's going on?
You can only have fun for so long. And what I talked to, I'm a transplant. I'll say it. I am. I'm not an LA native, but I do definitely feel a great love for this city. Yeah. And people ask me, how long have you been in LA? I say 4 years. They're like, oh, do you like it? And I say, well, here's the thing. First of all, I have to be here, but also if I didn't have a reason to be here, you know, I would have gone home, because it's hard. I love LA, but it's hard. And I have friends who move out here and they are bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, but they don't have the drive to be here. They don't have the reason to be here. They haven't done that looking themselves in the mirror. And then after a year or two, they get burnt out on all the fun and they go home. And they have big dreams, but they can't achieve them because there's no reason to be here. And I love LA, but it's really, really, really hard.
I love that you said that, Jean. I've said the same thing to people when they ask me if I like LA. I say I wouldn't be here if the film industry wasn't here. But because the film industry is here, I love LA. Because you're right, it is hard. Like everything, just the energy here is hard. The hustle culture, the rushing around, the driving, like
the money.
Madness. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's 40% more expensive than the rest of America is the stat. And I'm like, yeah, we can tell. I don't know about you, but I go back to Michigan and I'm like, oh, a latte is not supposed to be $8. I forgot. Look at the gas prices there. I'm like, bloody hell. What we pay for rent here, a mortgage in the Midwest for a nice house. I can't even think about.
Yeah, right. We could go on about this all day.
I don't like to think about it.
I go home and I love to put gas in my mom's car. I'm like, no, please let me.
Yes.
Like, please. Like, I want to be the one to do it. Yeah.
I know.
No, I have to be the one to do it. I don't know why. It just like will fulfill something in me if I do. Yeah, I'd love to be home. I haven't mentioned this. I'm the oldest of 5. So I have a big family back home that like I left to come out here and do this. And also like another thing I didn't mention too, I was engaged too before I came out here. And we broke off the engagement so that I could move here. Oh, wow. And so I have this like whole list of things that's back home for me and like this whole life that I left. Yeah. And I think in coming to terms and in realizing, you know, why you want to be out here and what your point is to be out here, you have to think of all the things that you're sacrificing to be out here. And I think that has been the biggest motivator for me. And I tell you what, if I can like preach on one thing, it's not like giving up. And you hear that, oh boy, you hear that your whole life.
Stick with it.
Stay true, you know, don't give up. It's on the poster in the school nurse's office. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. But don't give up, don't give up, don't give up. But until you actually don't give up, you have no idea what it means. Yeah. Because it's so, God, I want to go home. I do. You know, it's hard, but I can see the hard work paying off. I can see the not giving up paying off. And that's why I'm here, you know.
That's what I love so much about your journey, Jean, and even check out her TikTok. It's your pinned TikTok, and I love it, but it talks about basically everything you just said, and you have the little photos of you, like, I was doing these random jobs, and da-da-da, and then I took these classes, and then I decided to really take acting seriously in 2023. And I think your journey's so beautiful because when you did start taking acting seriously, you're right, you were rewarded for that. But also what I love too is you mentioned too doing the short film and even like how the rates you were paid were different. You also still stuck with it even in that. So it's like you are seeing these successes, yes, but the industry is still hard. So it's like just because you have one success, that doesn't mean that like everything's going to be, you know, roses from there. There are still highs and lows. And you've been able to stick with it through that. And I totally agree with what you said about the don't give up. Yes, it is cheesy, but you're right. You only start to see the fruit when you're sticking with it. And I think it's Denzel or somebody who's like, if you wait outside the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. And it really is true. But you're right. People do give up too soon. I think that you have to do what you did, though. It has to come from inside of you because everybody around you can tell you not to give up, da-da-da-da. But it's something you have to have that fire inside of you or you're not going to last in this industry. It really does just come down to something internal. That's
very, very powerful because you hear it from all your friends. You know, you're pursuing something and everybody wants to support you. And it's like, yes, go, go, go. But nobody but you knows what it means. Nobody but you knows exactly what you gave up to be here. Nobody but you knows exactly how hard you've worked. And my boyfriend and I have been together 3.5 years. Oh, wow. He met me before I even moved out here, but so he's been with me throughout the whole journey. He knows how hard I've worked, but he doesn't truly know. You know, he's been right alongside me the whole time, and even still, only I know. And that's where you have to find your fire. That's where you have to find the motivation from to keep going. Is make a physical list if you have to, you know, but remind yourself daily of like, what am I doing this for? And then that'll help you with the audition. That'll help you with the meeting. That'll help you with, and the growth is exponential once you start clarifying things like that for yourself.
You know what I think too, Jean? I don't know you super well, but from your social media, which I feel like you get a vibe, you are kind of magnetic. And I feel like other people see that as well. I've also you've come up in conversations with other actors as well, Abigail and Ian, and we have a couple mutuals.
I've seen that, yeah.
But you have like a magnetic presence, and it just occurred to me what I think it is. I think it's that strong sense of self that like, that internal stuff that we're talking about, that like LA is so crazy and the industry is so crazy, but you don't let it affect you like so many people do. The industry can tell you to turn this way, and LA is so chaotic, but you have such a strong sense of self that you seem to not let that get to you.
Thank you.
And like your joy and your peace comes from within, so I just want to commend you for that, because that's such a beautiful quality. And I love hearing too that it was a journey to get there, because I think sometimes people can maybe see somebody like you and be like, oh well, Jean's just like that, but it's like it was like a journey, and you really did have to come to that moment where you made that internal change. And you guys can make that internal change too if you're somebody who's struggling, you feel like you're all over the place. It's just coming back to your sense of self.
Thank you. I really, really do appreciate that, and I appreciate that you see that in me. It has taken a long time for me to get to a point where I can be very confident. I've always been very confident, and I've always been very charismatic, but the confidence now is in myself, and I trust myself whenever I'm speaking to people. I was like, oh, I should prep for the podcast, I should prep for all this, but I trust myself whenever I'm speaking to just speak and like say what I need to say, because I have confidence in myself and my journey and like where I'm at right now. I'm 25. And that really, really came to me the closer I got to 25. And as soon as I turned 25, I was like, whoa.
The age thing gets to us all, especially in our industry where it's like, I know. Yeah, like, it does matter, but it doesn't matter. But I know.
Yeah, well, girl, I've had 3 auditions this year for 15-year-olds.
Okay, queen.
So, like...
Yes, I literally, like, just last week I did an audition for like a 15-year-old or something, and I was like, I'm 22, but I was like, this is like, we're pushing it here, but it's fine. I'm like trying to put in braids and shit.
10 years, like, it's so, and I actually...
It's not uncommon though, Jean. No. I'm sure you've seen Euphoria. We all look at the Maddie, and that's what gives me, it's not about how old you are, it's about how old you look.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. There's the hook.
Yeah, not about how old you are, it's about how old you look.
I'm over 18.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
They like you to be over 18, so.
Which is wonderful. But I'm still 25, so I can do alcohol commercials. So it's great.
Oh, that is great. Yeah. They're like hella strict about that. I've tried to lie on multiple occasions. Like ID, and I'm like, because I'm like, 25. I can do that.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, no, the trigger ID. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually haven't booked any of them, probably because I look 15. So
makeup, though, I think that's the power of being a woman. Is like sometimes when I'm in full glam, people think I'm like 30, but then when I'm not wearing any makeup, I've had people ask me like, "Are you over 18?" at like commercial auditions and stuff. Yes, I am.
Yeah, no, for those 15-year-old auditions, and we can talk self-tapes too all day. But for those 15-year-old auditions, I'm barefaced. I've got a headband on, so I'm like. Yeah.
Like, yeah, you do still have a baby face, which is good.
Yeah, such a baby face, which I used to be very, very insecure about. I was one of those girls who, like, at 16 I still looked 10, and then at 22 I still looked 16. Now I take it as a compliment. Okay. Now I very much do, because I'm at the age where it's starting to be like, oh, it's good that I look 19. Oh yeah. But whenever I was 19 and I looked 14, I was like, please take me seriously. Like, and my parents both too, and my grandparents on both sides, like, young. I'm very Swedish, and on my mom's side, and then on my dad's side, like, they just naturally also look very, very young. Yeah. Quick little anecdote, this was like 15 years ago, right? So my dad is 35, and we're like at church, and he gets bit by a spider. Okay, we have to like. This is a crazy anecdote. Crazy anecdote. Okay, he gets bit by a spider, and so we have to like call an ambulance. Like, it's bad. Like, the ambulance comes, the medic rushes in, and he goes, "Okay, I have Caucasian male, about 18, 19 years old here." And we start like literally cracking up. My dad's dying on the couch. We're cracking up.
It must be poisonous one. Did it hurt him? Like bad?
I was so young, girl.
Okay.
This is all I remember of the story. But all I remember is that they did have to call the ambulance.
Okay.
And he said, male Caucasian, about 19 years old.
About
And we go,
19 years old.
We go, nope, this man is pushing 40. Like, we are. That's just my whole family is the same way, which I guess I'm in the right industry.
You are, yeah.
Because now, like, I get to have, like, the mental at 25 and then, you know, but it used to be a curse. And now it's a blessing.
No, it is a blessing. And the power of being a woman, too, is if you wanted to look older with, like, makeup and stuff, too, that's an easy thing. Or hair.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah.
Yeah.
You have the natural baby face. Yeah. Don't get any work done, okay? Not yet.
Period.
One day. I do think about it one day, but sometimes I
Yeah.
feel like you can start to see it if people start getting it too young. You know?
I do have friends who, like, get Botox. No, nothing against
I
no
also,
hate,
I
no
didn't
hate,
mean it as bad,
no
but
hate.
yeah, whatever makes
Yeah,
you
no
most
hate,
confident.
please.
Whatever makes you confident.
But I'm like, I don't know that I could do that yet. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying that I'll never do it,
Yeah,
but
no,
I also I'm not trying to be like blockbuster actress. I could be one day, whatever.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like I gravitate more towards like indie darling.
Yeah.
Very, very grounded realism.
Yeah.
And like drama and that type. And it's like those are the people who you like see never have work done, you know?
Yeah.
Very, very like raw and real. And I also think it's important to, especially if you know, hopefully if we get into to be in some sort of limelight or some sort of platform where we have a lot of eyes on us, especially a lot of young eyes, to see people aging.
Yes.
You know?
I know. Why is this something? Yeah. A lot of women are opening up about it these days, but it's like we fight against it. We fight against our natural changes, and it's kind of crazy, but.
Yeah. I love a good wrinkle.
Yeah.
I've been laughing, you know?
I have the smile lines. No, they're cute.
I've been laughing, girl.
Okay, Jean, you had a TikTok. I don't know if you're allowed to talk about this, but it was like, I just got the call. Are you allowed to talk about that or no?
Oh. Okay, I will talk about it. I can't share details.
We can.
Well, like, I'm gonna like go around it a little bit because also because it's in the air at the moment.
Oh, okay.
We're dealing with a lot of issues on the production side, which is totally understandable. But going back to kind of what we were talking about earlier, how, you know, you can book this really big thing, or you book like the higher paying project and you're like, yes, my life has changed forever. And you go on, you do all these things, but then you have to like go back to, you know, lower paying gigs and mess around. It happens even on larger scales too.
It does, yeah.
So I auditioned for this project end of last year, found out that I booked it in January and we were supposed to go film it in March. And then there was some issues with the budget and
film
yeah,
okay.
with some of the funding, which I totally understand. The director shared this really wonderful story with me about one of the first things that he booked, and he went all the way out to Utah for it. It was like a big break type of thing. In the middle of filming, a producer walks on set and says that they lost funding and everybody has to go home. And he was like, I never want to do that to anybody. Yeah. And I was like, I so respect that.
Yeah.
So respect that. So right now it's kind of, it's pinned. It's not happening, but it's pinned, which is really interesting for me to deal with. My team is very confident that I'm going to be booked and busy this year, like otherwise. But it was kind of the first thing, you know, it was the biggest thing that I had booked thus far. Mm-hmm. So to have all of this kind of be happening is a little, it's a little disheartening, but not discouraging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that stuff, again, that's like part of being an actor, that's so real. And also like we're constantly getting pinned for like big things and having them fall through. Big films, you know, like that, you hear that happen with a lot of big films all of the time. Like Oscar award winning films take years sometimes to work out logistics and things like that. Bradley Cooper's film, What Is It, Maestro or whatever, they almost filmed that like 3 different times, but they kept like losing funding before they could even film it. So that's not a
Well, you think back to COVID too, like all the stories you hear about, we were going to start production February of 2020 or April of 2020, and then there was just this huge break in the industry, and everybody had to take time off. Everybody lost funding for everything. Everybody lost capability for everything. And that is such a tough part about being in this industry, is nothing is in your control. What is in your control is how you perform.
Yes. And your mindset, which again is like why you're so strong, Jean, is that like you have such a good mindset despite the external things. But I know that is the hardest part, I would say. I think all around in the industry, even behind the camera, they lack a lot of control as well. But man, especially those actors. I started doing some producing just because I wanted to have a little more control. But man, us actors, it really is like there is so little that we can control. We're just, I have
a friend who, she filmed this movie, and that was 2 years ago, and they don't have a release date still. They don't have, it might never come out. Yeah. And that happens.
It does. I did a feature when I was 18 and it hasn't seen the light of day. We spent like a month filming it. It was in the Midwest with my Midwest agent that we filmed it, but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Which is so sad. You know? I think that I think it's great that you've started producing, that you've started. I know a lot of people who are trying to take things in their own hands. I do my own like directing and producing and writing because you have to as an actor. If you want to do it, you have to kind of do it in the in-between, unless you're a series regular, or unless you're like constantly, working on projects. The downtime is down. It's hard. It is. I don't know if you're like me, but I'm a workaholic.
No, 100% girlfriend. Yeah, I think a lot of us are too. It's so funny because I think, I don't know if you feel this way too, but I feel like when I work. Like I either book, and it's like back to back, 2 sets in one day sometimes, crazy days, or it's nothing. And it's wild. And I talk to a lot of actors, and I feel like it's that for a lot of us. In March, I did like 10 commercials, I think, like sometimes 2 in one day, a lot of print stuff. And this month, I don't think I've done any commercials, and it's April. So it's like
I've done one. I've done I think 3 shoot days total in the last month. I've been moving and stuff too, so I've been like taking a forced hiatus.
Me too, yeah.
But next week, I'm gonna start filming for like 3 weeks straight on like just different projects.
Back-to-back projects, right? No, actually, it's so funny. I'm doing a commercial Tuesday, and then it's like back-to-back.
It just
I'm a 2-day player on a vertical next week. We'll have to see if it's the same one. I don't remember what it's called.
It's like Free is My Unwanted Lover or something.
Was Wendy Tang the casting director? Do you know?
Oh my god, I love Wendy.
Oh, okay.
I love Wendy.
She was the casting director for this one. I don't know if I'm the same one. That would be fun.
She emails me like Queen. 3 times a week. She's like, I've got this wonderful series. I think that you would be great as the lead-in. Here's the script. Like, let me know if you're interested. I'm like, okay. I love Wendy. I'm really starting to get to know some of these casting directors. I even got like 2 emails this morning from just random casting directors. Like, I'm producing this, blah, 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 blah. Once you get in it and you're like plugged into it,
they come to you.
They come to you. I'm offer only. Yeah. For these verticals right now.
No, truly.
Like, which is a really nice feeling because I don't have time to self-tape.
I know, yeah. And the self-tapes for them, too, are so, like, repetitive and stuff like that. And also, I feel like when you do one, you kind of get the vibe. Like, even you just kind of get the vibe of what they want. And like you said, a lot of the roles are similar, too. So it's like, you've already done one. Just send them Miss Williams. Be like, you need to see me
Exactly.
Now you have a Mean Girl once, and then this one. Yes.
Exactly. I have a question for you. What's the dream? Like full, like what is at the end of the day, what are you fighting for? What's like the dream?
Oh, she just spoke to this on you guys. Yeah, my heart really is storytelling as well, and writing and directing is actually my dream later on. I want to write, direct, and also star in, not lead, but more like supporting in my own film. Okay. It's something I've literally been working on for like years, but it's kind of like a work in progress as I gain like life experience and flesh things out. So that is like my big ultimate dream, the kind of foresight dream right now is a series regular. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would love, and like a series regular on like a CW, Riverdale, Outer Banks, like that type of teen show, which I also feel like is kind of viable for like our age range and stuff like that, because a lot of the time they do use up and coming 20-something actors for those. So that was kind of my current dream. And then also to maybe pull like a Lily Reinhart, Camila Mendes type thing, where it's like they get a following from Riverdale or whatever, and then they take that and then go on to like executive produce and work on their own features from there. But I just feel like it would be so fun too to work with like the same group every day. We get a little taste of that on the verticals too, but honestly doing those verticals just made me realize even more I would love to be a series regular and work with the same group every day. And like I just think that's my favorite part of the business is collaboration, and so getting to do that on a higher level would be incredible. Can I flip that back on you?
Oh, back on me. I agree. I think that the dream always has these elements of like producing, directing, writing, but I think at the end of the day it's autonomy, and it's me being able to, you know, having the ability to produce a script that I want to produce, or say no to projects, or say yes to projects, 100%. Or to write. And I want to be acting until the day that I die. Yes. I think that is, there's something so special about it, and there's a certain magic that you cannot get anywhere else.
I know, girl.
I know, you know what I'm talking about.
We all know that feeling, but like when on the hard days, that's what I remind myself of, is I'm like, Sophie, you, despite this business, you love the craft. There is nothing like diving into a character. And
you know how it feels at the end of a day, whenever, whether it's theater or on screen, but whenever you do find those moments of magic, those moments that are so cathartic, and that you just really are able to feel and really are able to, like, you grow as a person in those moments, and it's such an addictive feeling. Like I want to do that every day. I know whenever I have a good day on set, because I come home and I'm like, I need to do this every day for the rest of my life.
It doesn't feel like work.
No.
That's when I realized that I was like, damn, like I love this. Even these days, once you start doing the thing full time, I'm like, I feel like I never work, kind of, in a weird way, because I love it so much. And even the random like gigs and stuff that I do these days, like I love it, and that's kind of how you know you're in the right spot.
The work, self-tape auditions.
Yeah, I know, girlfriend, I know. And they keep, sometimes
they'll get one in my lap, and like they'll give me the pilot along with it. I get so much context, and like, oh yes, I feel really connected to this. I'm so excited to do this. But sometimes, 90% of the time, it's like, I don't, just give me the job. Just give it to me. I'll do it. And like, I'll you know.
And then also, we're at like such a, I don't know if you'll agree with this, but I feel like we're at such a weird time in our industry right now, where truly a lot of the auditions I'm seeing are those verticals, and like that, over half of them, I would say. Up until last week, I've gone up for like 2 series regulars this year, and usually it's substantially more than that, just because of like the pause in television and things like that.
I did not love playing Mrs. Williams, and I've gotten this comment from a lot of people who've watched the show, is that girl, stand up. She was being abused. She was, you know, she had cancer. She was the weakest person, and I'm somebody who absolutely I'm studious. I love script analysis, and I love digging into a script and finding evidence for a character through every single word. And there was nothing for her that was like, so it was such a challenge for me to find her strength, and for me to find, like, why is she staying with this guy? And of course there's the arguments that the scripts are AI written, or
written
that
overseas and translated.
Right. Yeah. So I know that I wasn't supposed to be taking it this seriously. Yeah. But like we talked about earlier, I wanted to. I wanted to see what I could find in this minefield of a script. Sometimes there's nothing, and you just have to make it up. Yeah. And this happens a lot. I think that I'm very good at finding the tragedy in things. 90% of my reel is me sobbing, crying, looking wiser than my years, is what my manager said.
I watched it. Like, I'll link her reel below. It's really cute.
But I can find these really deep tragic feelings in a script, because I do gravitate more towards that like dramatic realism, and there is a lot of like real tragedy in it, and so allowing yourself as an actor to like really believe what you're reading and like what is being said here, and the sadness in it. And that's also how, you know, I'm able to cry on camera. That's a question I get a lot too, is because, you know, everybody has their different process and everybody has all these things, but if you truly believe what you're saying and what you're feeling, you know, then that's where it's at. That's where the feeling is. And so with Mrs. Williams too, trying to find that in, even though people were saying the most obtuse, silly things to me, like I still wanted to keep it, you know, where I felt proud of the performance and where I felt.
And thank goodness you did, because it blew up so much. So like, can you imagine, Jean, if you would have just been like, yeah, F this, I'm gonna just for the paycheck, but then you got all these eyes on you that you weren't expecting. So thank God everything works out.
All these eyes. And I'm gonna tell you, because you're also a Midwest girl, everybody back home, which I was not expecting.
That. Yeah.
I thought that this was going to be one of those things like most of my projects where I did it for the experience. I did it. I got paid. I did it. I learned, blah, 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 but nobody's ever going to see it.
Yeah.
It was the first project that everybody back home saw, really, because I had a lot of other things that I had done but hadn't come out yet.
Yeah, and this was a full show, too. So
this was a full show that they were getting advertisements for.
Yeah.
My great aunt was getting advertisements for. Everybody saw it. And, this is something that I love to talk about. I wish I was a painter, right? I wish I was a musician. Because you know what happens in those crafts and in that type of art? You can practice in private. You can close a door and you can paint the worst picture in the world and then you can throw it away, right? As an actor, you have to practice in public. And that, to me, that was a learning experience for me. That's why I took the job, even though I didn't love it. But it was a learning experience. I was growing. I was finding things, but it was practice for me. Most of my projects have been practice, have been experience building, and most of my projects are available on the internet, so you can see me learning.
Our stuff's recorded. I know.
You can see me learning.
Mm-hmm. It's also beautiful. I know it is. And like, even you hear A-listers say this too, like even stuff they did a few years ago that they're not super proud of. And it's almost like, ideally, you almost want that because that means that you're kind of growing and changing. Of course, you want to feel proud of your performance, but you also want to be improving as an actor. So, yeah, I know that is so vulnerable though.
And I'm a perfectionist. And I love to be in control of what people see of me, which is a really weird profession to be in.
Yeah.
But even short films and stuff that I'm proud of, I haven't shown my parents, and I haven't like posted on Facebook or anything because I'm waiting until, you know, I get the big thing.
Yeah.
You know, and
now you can watch this.
Right. Yes, please. Now that I'm on this movie that's on Hulu, now you can watch it, and we can all pretend like I didn't claw my way there with all these really embarrassing Darman videos. Like,
hey girl, we've all been there. Mm-hmm.
You know, but that's what you have to do, especially if you don't have money.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't have the connections in the industry right off the bat. I'm somebody, and I feel like you are as well. I moved out here and I didn't know a single person out here, especially not in the industry. And I had parents who supported me, but they told me only if I can pay my rent doing what I'm doing.
That was me too.
You know, like I moved out here.
Mommy and Daddy weren't covering rent. I know.
Nope.
Some, which that was something I found out. And no tea, no shade here, but like a lot of people in their 20s out here, Mommy and Daddy helped them a lot. And I just didn't have that. But yeah.
Lucky you. Like really?
I know, no, truly.
I'm jealous.
Like, yeah,
Take that.
Take that.
I wish, because I feel like I'd be a few steps further. But it's very interesting what you have to do whenever you don't have anything. And I didn't have a mentor either. I didn't have somebody saying you should take these steps. It was me like throwing punches in any direction and hoping that I hit something. And if I did, I would just keep going that direction.
That's half the reason I started this podcast, is because I want people like us. I would have loved something like this back in Michigan to just like hear these working actors who are not A-listers, but are just like a few steps ahead, so you can
Yeah.
kind of learn from these people, because you go into it blindsided and you just figure it out as you go.
Yeah.
And even with this podcast and other resources, you'll still be figuring it out as you go, but I think it's helpful to hear others just kind of chat about it.
Yeah.
But
The A-listers will briefly touch on Mark Ruffalo on the Smartlist podcast, he touches on it too, but they'll briefly touch on if they were somebody who didn't have any resources, coming here, they were bartending, baristaing, like clawing their way to their first gig. And that's really how it feels. And that's whenever you go back to the don't give up sentiment, because you really, 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 really have to not give up, because you're getting just knocked down and you don't even know if you're going the right way.
Yeah. That's so true. But you won't know if you're going the right way if you give up. So you gotta stick with it,
It's like that photo of the guy who's like digging for jewels and then he gives up right before it's cool.
Before he finds them. Yeah. It builds grit too, I think. The whole like roughing it as an actor, I think it adds character.
The starting artist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. It builds grit. And I always remind myself too, I'm like, life experience makes me a better actor. So I wouldn't be who I am if I wouldn't have done all those weird things I did back in the day.
I do have something to say on this. I love that you mentioned that. Because I get asked about like, how do you train? What are you classes and stuff? For me, I don't take many classes. I'll drop in a few classes, but mostly I'm on set learning, and that's like the best way that I learn to be on set. But the best way that I learn to act is going to the bar with my friends, going to the beach, going on a trip, going, to these places and having these experiences that make me a person. And me learning how to grow as a person and learning who I am and what I like outside of acting is what feeds the talent, is what feeds the craft, because you can't pull from nothing. You can't pull from a class where, college kids critique you.
No, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, girl, I know. The actors who are highly trained and da-da-da-da.
There's there's something to be said definitely about
there is
that. And I've been in those classes, and I'm somebody who's very studious. I've read the books. I've done it, and I've done it 100%. But that doesn't work for me as much as just like being present in my own body and in my own life does. Because then that's what I can pull from whenever, I'm sitting with somebody at a cafe. I know how to sit with somebody at a cafe because I've been there before. And I know how to break up with somebody because I've been there before. And I know how to drink a cup of coffee because I've been there before, not because I did it in a stage movement class.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, Jean. I think too, it's like we go through, I was the same way, like I did all the classes and I went to college for acting and things like that. All that stuff does is get me up in my head, like it makes me think more about, like I'm thinking about the process and thinking about the things I should be doing, when beautiful acting happens when you're present, when you're just being there. And it's also like all of that stuff is good and it's fine, but you almost do all of that just to throw it away and to get back to where we are right now, to get back to just being present and having a conversation and not thinking about where your eyebrow and what face you're making and da-da-da, just pulling from experience and pulling from who you are.
I saw in one of your videos that you like meditate and stuff too. Do you find that is very helpful in finding that?
Yeah, 100%. I think just stopping, I run anxious, I think a lot of us actors do, but so just stopping for a minute and like just sitting with myself is so important for me, because I'll just go and spiral, but just sitting, and being present is so important, and that does help me. Do you have any self-care practices that you feel like help you? Anything you do?
I've got things that I like that I should be doing.
Right, I know,
something that I do find really helps me is I run. And I like to run without music or without anything. And that's my meditation, because I do find it hard to sit still. But if I can run with no music, then I find that my thoughts kind of sort themselves out. The problems are solving themselves, and things are coming to me. And it's a great way to like just be with yourself. And be with yourself physically and mentally.
I love that.
So that's something that I do definitely to come back to my body is I'll run without any music.
Is that like a frequent thing you do?
I should do it more.
Okay, fair enough.
But it is something that I find helps.
Yeah, helps bring you back if you find your
Yeah.
It's good to have a little like cup of like self-care things that you can come to, because it's I'm not gonna, you know how it is, especially these long days on set and stuff. It's hard to like keep up with that stuff, so it's good to have a cup for when you feel yourself starting to like, I know I have this tool and this tool.
I also love to just go to the movies.
Yeah, girl. Do you have the AMC pass?
I'll stop paying my utility bill before I stop paying my AMC A-list. Like I love A-list, and I got it pretty much immediately after moving out here. I've had it for so long, and I find myself shocked whenever people say they don't have it.
If you go once a month, it's worth it. Yeah, I know. And also, if you're an actor, it's a write-off too.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. My gym membership is a write-off.
Everything, our hair, our nails,
facials,
our cars, our self-tape equipment,
home office set,
clothing.
Everything's R&D.
Yeah.
That is the nice part about it, because it, especially with the taxes and the financials, can be very difficult. But that's very straightforward, because pretty much everything in my life I can make an argument for it making me a better actor.
And truly, it does. Which also helps us a lot, like you said, for taxes, because a lot of the time we're paid on like 1099s and things like that, so they're not taken out. So then at the end of the year, you could owe a lot of money if you don't track that.
Yeah. Which has been a really tough thing. And once you get to a certain point too, you incorporate, which is a whole different story. I'm gonna have to do that this year, and I'm scared. Like, I don't.
It's like setting yourself up as an LLC. Okay.
Yeah, and then you have to like do all your taxes and stuff different.
My mom's an accountant. Bless the Lord. Yeah. If you ever need any help, she does a lot of my friends' taxes too. So all of us actors were like that.
I have some actor friends who have done it, and they're
do their own taxes.
Yeah.
QuickBooks, baby.
The financial side of this is really something.
It's one of the hardest parts. And again, something nobody prepares you for, I don't think. I just think being in your 20s in general, like, we graduate college and then it's all of a sudden like, what the fudge? How does anybody, like, how do you even start building wealth? How do you even start saving money? Like, I don't think our society teaches us well enough how to do that. But
you were just mentioning something as well in one of your other videos where it's hard to keep a job whenever you're an actor. Because you have to drop everything to audition or to show up on set, but it's hard to not keep a job as an actor because you have to pay rent, and there's such a paradox in the job market of being an actor. In LA, thankfully, you can talk to your boss and you can say, hey, I'm an actor, and a lot of them will give you a break for that. I did work at Starbucks, and whenever I had to be on set, like, I had somebody who was there who was like, I get you, I know exactly what you're doing, I'll cover your shift. That was so helpful to me, and I did the same thing for him. But it's really, really a difficult place to be in, position to be in, and I found myself, teetering on either side of the spectrum of like, okay, putting too much into my like small day job at Cold Stone versus like auditioning, or like putting too much into auditioning, and I wound up like getting fired from this job that I'm showing up half there. And hold on, cut this, let me think, because I had something to say. I had one more thing to say. Oh, it might be gone. That's okay, it'll come back to me.
It happens. Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree with you. Yeah. And also our industry's so expensive too, because when you're an actor, you're starting a business, a full-on business, which costs money. The headshots, the classes, all of the things. So you also need to have some of that disposable income. But then, like we discussed, it is hard to have a job. And then also LA is so expensive that, like, I almost think it's hard to live in LA off of just a quote-unquote normal job like Starbucks or Whole Foods or something. I think it's really, really difficult to live here. You're gonna have to be budgeting like a mofo, and then the nice thing about LA is like there is so much opportunity here in our industry and in every industry, and so like you can get by with like a lot of gigs and things like that here that aren't elsewhere. A really good hustle for actors is like model staffing type companies or whatever, where they pay you like anywhere from like 30 to 50 an hour, but you'll work like movie premieres, the Oscars, the Emmys, things like that. And they love actors because we're good with people. But like, that's such an LA thing. Like, I moved here and I was like, you're gonna pay me 50 an hour to like stand and greet some rich people at this, like, okay, like, I'll take it, but that's weird.
I fed fried zucchinis to Zooey Deschanel at an event one time.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Where am I? Yeah. It's so bizarre.
It is.
And as actors too, those small gigs, like, you sort of also become a model inadvertently because it's a part of like the gigs that you're collecting and trying to live upon. Yeah. And this is what I was gonna say earlier. I remembered. But I find that actors have the personality type to do really well in like corporate, or like to do really well in jobs where you have to be charismatic and like work on teams and do things like that. And I was just talking about this like yesterday. I could have not to brag, I could have so easily gotten a really well-paying job in any other industry.
1000%.
I could have so easily moved here and started doing this for this company and moved up through it and whatever, and put acting on the back burner because I needed the money. But I chose deliberately to be scraping by so that all I was doing was acting, or all I was doing was being on set. Yeah. You know, if I was accepting a gig that wasn't acting, it was PA work, it was DP work, it was directing work, it was something else. But everything that I was doing was like being on set at one point. Because I knew that if I even got a job at Ralph's, it was going to take from me. And if I wanted, oh God, I needed the money so bad. And I'm so proud of myself for not doing that, because that showed that I believed in myself so much that I didn't give up on this dream so that I could go and make money and you know, dazzle everybody. Great, okay, she does very well in this job, but I don't want to do very well in a job. I want to do a job that I love. Yeah.
You truly, had you done that, you might be in a different place financially now, but well, maybe not. You might not be where you are at acting wise and like making a full-time living as an actor had you done that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So everything kind of works out. What I will say though is I do think if you're in like a financial position where you can kind of get by scraping gigs, do it. If you're really like struggling to pay rent and things like that, my friends, I do think for sure take a few months off of acting and like build up a savings and like get your ish together a little bit.
Last summer, I will say this, I didn't become a full-time actor until last September. Yeah. Last August.
And what even is a full-time actor? I'm a full-time actor, but I still do event work. Exactly. And I still like do social media management for brands and like things like that. But no,
random gigs. Yeah. Last summer for 3 months, I took completely off. I worked really hard at the top of the year. Yeah. And I burnt myself out because I was working too hard. I got a nanny gig for the summer, and I spent 5 or 6 days a week at this nanny house, and I just got to sit there and watch these 2 kids and read books for 3 months. And I did maybe 2 acting gigs, and it's because I needed the money and because I was a little burnt out. And I'm so glad that I did. Yeah. Because I was able to recharge. I was able to get a little bit of savings so that I could hop back into trying to like chug along free time. Yeah. Or, like full time within like do it all full time.
Yeah. I love that you said that too, Jean, because you had a lot of success at the beginning of last year, but that, again, that's a part of our business is like sometimes you need to take a step back and remind yourself why you love it, build up a savings, things like that.
Yeah. So important. See, again, the money thing is just weird. It's different for everybody.
It is. So I know I like rant about it to people all the time, and it's always something we're talking about, but it's so different for everybody, and we all have different capacities too and different things that we're good at. I will say too, we're really blessed in the internet age as well. Like that can help with making money. A lot of actors do like UGC and social media things, and those are good side hustles too, and we're really blessed to have
I was stuff. Any good at social media, I'd be doing UGC. I'd be influencing. No, not really. Okay. I've done UGC. I'm no good at it.
It's like commercial kind of.
It is kind of commercial. I don't know why. I'm not.
I bet you could be.
I could be maybe.
Produce some UGC. Maybe we can
Oh,
get you on one.
yeah,
Shoot when
give
you're
me
around.
on one.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. I didn't even need my notes for this. We just gabbed on.
Chit-chat. I was just thinking I could do this for the rest of the day.
No, I know.
I feel like we're really talking right now.
I know, we are. Yeah, we'll have to get Jean back on and do a part 2. But we have been going for a minute, so we'll kind of do some of our last little things here. But if you had any advice for yourself moving out here 4 years ago, what would you say? Some advice to young Jean.
Now that we all know kind of the mindset that I moved out here with, have fun, you know. And I did have fun, and sometimes I regret, not taking things seriously earlier, but really what made my life was how much fun I had.
Life experience, girlfriend.
Yeah.
Think of all the things in your cup.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, because I think there was definitely something in the back of my mind saying like starting to panic, like I'm 21, I need to do this. Like, relax. It'll come to you if when you're ready for it. And I don't feel like I was ready for it then. I'm glad that things are happening in my life now, because now I feel ready for it. And I was wanting things to happen so bad whenever I was 21, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, but relax. Like, it'll happen whenever it's time. Yeah. It'll come to you whenever it's ready.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. Easier said than done, but so true.
It's so
true.
Weird that was only 4 years ago. It feels like 10. It feels like last year.
It is. Time's weirder in LA too. I feel like I also moved here in 2020 to OC first for college, but then to LA. But I know it does feel like a weird time warp. It's like it's felt like I've been here a long time, but also not. And I'm like, what in the world have I even done the last 3 years? But then I look through videos of myself. You probably do this too. And I'm like, wow, I actually did a lot. Like sometimes I watch through my stuff and I get exhausted looking at it. I'm like, did I do all that? Because I really feel like I haven't done anything. And I've been out here 4 years.
Oh, also read more books and start learning piano now.
You tell yourself that? Yeah. Oh, you didn't know piano then?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I was watching some of your stuff. I figured you had known it.
No, I think about one thing that I do unequivocally regret is not building up my skills a little bit more as I was younger, because habits will compound and things will compound like that. And I don't know Spanish as well as I wish I did. I don't know instruments as well as I wish I did. I haven't read as many books as I wish I would have by now. And so kind of starting to dive into these things that would have been so helpful for me now to have. And I have things on my resume and I'm really proud of, but I know how to play golf, not as well as not well enough to put it on my resume, and I wish I could put it on my resume.
Yeah.
So if there are any skills, and I'm talking to 21-year-old Jean right now, please just pick up the book and read it. Mm-hmm. Sit down at the piano. Mm-hmm. Start building those skills now.
Yeah.
Would have really been there for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Part of my audience is young, high school, middle school, especially you guys. Start learning Spanish and playing the instruments now. Please. I really wish one of my parents would have forced me to do piano or something when I was 4 and learn another language. Yeah. It's like muscle memory when you're a kid.
My parents were great because they didn't force us to do anything we didn't want to do. But I was also please force me to do the things I don't want to do. I
think about that sometimes because I do want to have children one day, and I think about it, I'm I might really try to force them to an instrument or something, or dance. Not force them, but a little bit. Even if they say no, I promise you might be glad later on.
I distinctly remember an argument whenever I was freshman year of high school. I think I joined band, but everybody else had been taking band since 7th grade. And so they were all so much better than me, and I picked up the flute, and I didn't know how to play the flute, and it was 2 weeks, and I still didn't know how to play the flute, and I quit. And my dad was like, don't quit. Just because they have 2 more years of experience, whenever you're seniors, you're gonna have 4 years and they're gonna have 6 years. It's gonna be very marginal. And I still quit.
You quit.
And I cannot believe I did that.
You want to know something? I played the flute from 6th grade to 12th grade. So that's one of those weird special skills that people are always like, what the fuck? I did a commercial like a couple months ago where I had to play the flute, but it was like one of those things where they're like, why can you play the flute? And I was like, I
just
banned, you know? Banned.
Yeah.
It's muscle
But
memory.
but
funny
that's
though.
the thing is I did choir junior high
Okay.
all the way through high school, and now
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that I did, because I have such a grasp on music in a way that I
Yeah.
wouldn't. And my best friend Richie, he's in music school right now, and he's already surpassed me, but whenever he was first getting started, I was like, I learned this freshman year in high school. Like,
I already know that.
I'm like, I don't know how to do this, but now he's like way past me. He knows like way like harmony theory and all that, and I was like, oh, okay. Easy there.
Right.
But I definitely have a greater grasp on it than I would have if I hadn't
Yeah.
started in high school doing these things.
Mhm.
Please. You'll thank yourself later. Like, you really will.
Yeah. All right, my final question before I have a segment called Fast Frisky 5, which will be 5 rapid fire questions. But before that, Jean, what keeps you going on the hard days?
Ooh.
The days where you're just like, this business is annoying, people in LA are mean. What keeps you going?
Number 1, La La Land.
Oh my god, you said pipe dream earlier, and I was like, it feels like a pipe dream. I was like, Emma Stone who?
Yeah. The sentiment in that is finding a comfort movie or movie that really inspires me.
That's
And
true,
sitting
yeah.
down and watching that changes everything. La La Land being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because that to me is how LA feels on the best of days.
No, it's a really, people like roasted that movie, but it's a good depiction of being an actor in LA, I think. Even as far as her like in the audition room and things like that. I just did a casting director workshop with, do you know Mark Peschner? General Hospital.
Yeah.
Cast General Hospital.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So I'm doing a workshop with him right now, but he was like telling us that like, yeah, that would really happen in the room all the time, where it's like the directors and stuff would be talking, eating their sandwich. I'm like, thank God I didn't go in the room very much, because I don't know that I could do that.
So realistic, and the more I just rewatched it a couple weeks ago, and I do watch it a few times a year, and every time I watch it I'm like, this is more and more realistic. And of course it's fantastical, and it's a musical, and like there are all of these fantasy elements to it, but that's the point.
Oh yeah.
Is that LA on its best days and on your best days feels like a fantasy. It feels like a dream, and it feels so palpable, and like it's right there, and you can just reach out and grab it, and you can have the whole world. And I think that's what that movie does for me, is by the end of it, it's like it's like 8 years of trying and being put down like that, and she didn't give up, and then this happened, and of course that happened because it's a movie, but that also does happen.
Yeah.
It's it is there's so much real to it, and there's so much real woven within the story. And then you get these small moments about LA that you only know because you live here. And
Yes,
it's like,
yeah, I know.
it makes you feel just so.
Seeing even like they filmed in Griffith Park and things like that, I'm like, I sat at that bench. I know
So-
that bench.
Exactly. I was like, they would never drive there. They couldn't. So yes, it's finding a movie or finding a piece of art or a piece of work that really inspires me, and taking time to sit with it. That will get me through. And then I think also, like we were talking about, it's so important to find that list of things that drive you, because then on your worst days you can look and you can think, like, I'm doing this because I know that, like, my sister wants to be a musician, right? And I want to be successful because I want to help her achieve her dreams. And, like, I think back, I think about all the people that I left and who are watching me, who might be listening to this, and how hard it was to get out. And all the people back home who wish they did and they didn't, and they're watching me. And it's like, so that's like, if I give up, it's, what does that say about me? What does that say about them? What does that say about everything that I've done until this point? I know that I have people watching me and looking up to me. And on the hardest days, that's what I think about. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, I love that. That reminds me too, like, your purpose is so much bigger than you. And you've realized that too, that like, yes, your purpose is to be a storyteller, but not just a storyteller for Jean, for other people and to inspire others. I love that.
I think about the day that like I accept my Oscar, whatever it is, and truly the speech is me looking into the camera talking to that small town girl who does theater. It's like, how did I get here? You know? And how crazy is it that that's possible, that you can make your life into whatever you want.
Yeah.
Into whatever you want.
Yeah. And seeing those little wins across the path too. I mean, I'll tell you guys, I found Jean on TikTok and I invited her onto this podcast because I thought she was so cool and the things she's doing are so cool, and like little things like that even. Okay, let's do fast frisky five. A fast note. So these are 5 rapid fire questions that require a lot of thought.
I am scared. Okay.
Favorite quote?
Every day you wake up has the potential to be the day that you look back on as the best day of your life.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
Parks and Rec.
I didn't realize that was Parks and Rec. I'm dead. What's something in LA that you love that you feel like not a lot of people know about? Do you have a go-to spot?
Oh. Barnesdall Art Park. Really great sunsets from there. You can see the Hollywood sign, you can see San Bernardino Hills, you can see the ocean from there. Like, you can see a lot of it.
Wow.
But it's a small art park that's just perched up on a hill in Silver Lake area. Yeah, it's really wonderful. There's hardly ever anybody there, and it's gorgeous.
I didn't know that. I might have to look that place up. Favorite line in a movie or show?
Oh, good gracious.
You kind of already said one. Your favorite
did
quote
already
from a
say
show.
one.
You can count it if you don't have one.
Let me think if I can. If I think of one, I'll let you know.
Okay.
I'm
Does
really
Miss
bad
Williams
at
have any banger lines?
There's a line that I accidentally said that I don't even know if they kept it in.
Oh, okay.
But it's like the doctor was like fighting my husband, and I was like, Vince, get out of here, go on, get. Like he was a dog. And I was like, where did that come from? They might have kept it in there.
Real.
It felt so real. I was feeling it.
Did you watch the show just out of curiosity?
I watched clips.
You watched clips.
You
didn't watch the full thing. I know, I haven't watched any of mine either. Plus I try to charge you, so I'm also like not paying. I'm sorry, I'm also not paying $60 to watch.
Send me the Google link. Like,
I know. Pickles, yay or nay?
Yay.
Yay, okay.
Yeah.
Love. Recent obsession?
Recent obsession. Toaster strudels.
Oh my gosh, you just took me back. What's your favorite flavor?
Just like the regular strawberry one.
Okay.
I realized.
I forgot about those.
Yeah, I moved into a new place and I did a big grocery shopping trip and I saw them in the freezer and I'm like, I'm an adult. I can buy these for myself. And so now I like always have one in my freezer.
I love it.
I had one last night for dessert.
As you should.
And then again for breakfast.
As you should. All right, anything else you'd like to leave our Acting Like an Actor viewers with?
Oh, wow. Let's pressure on that question. Don't give up.
Yeah, that's kind of the theme, which,
Yeah, truly. You can do... God, I could leave with a ton of cheesy quotes. You can do anything you set your mind to, kid. That's about it.
Cheesy but true.
No, thank you for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This was my first podcast.
Love. First of many, of course.
First of many, yeah.
And maybe we'll have to have her back.
I know. I could talk.
I know.
Don't
no,
you?
Me too. I know. We're just gabbing away.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate you having me out here. I think that's so cool that you're doing this.
Thank you.
Yeah, really. I think it's important that we hear from this level.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk about the things nobody else does. All right. We'll catch you guys next week.